Rasti, good to have you back on the show, brother.
My pleasure. No, thank you so much. It's an honor to be back again. I don't know whether third or fourth time now. So, an honor.
Well, I was thinking before we went live, I think you're the only person that's appeared on the BAI Show for the third time.
Probably you know better. Let me put this way. So, I don't think it's third. It's actually fourth. If I recall it well. So, it's fourth time.
Wow.
Sorry.
Okay. So you've beat me to it. Yeah. Well, I really enjoy our conversations. I love your enthusiasm, especially the way that you have been building your business since you jumped on this podcast for the first time. And I was telling you as we got started, I know we've got a personal relationship as well, but I didn't want to call you prior to this interview because I genuinely want to hear about what you're up to because I've been seeing you online. I want to talk. I've noticed that we just talked about you've obviously you're a finalist for REB Awards for the buyer's agency category. You are in the business excellence, the BX Awards for the real estate category. Things are going well. Why don't you give me a bit of a snapshot what's happening in the Rasti and Get Rare world?
No, thank you so much. So yes, we are a finalist. So we are very thrilled. It's our first year entry in REB Awards, and we became finalists. So super thrilled as the whole team. And for BX Excellence Award, actually we're the winner for the category there for the Australia wide. So super pumped up. To me, it's more about the recognition of the work that we have been doing, but it's more of I guess the process that we have built around it and the trust, plus the results we are able to get. So in summary, if I have to summarize it, we are just above 4 years now in the action as a business, as a buyer's agent, and we have helped 300 plus families now, and they are growing faster than ever. Bought 100 million plus worth of real estate just because we think, we believe that it's a portfolio theory. So there's a lot of education around it, a lot of working around the strategy, like where the person is, where they want to go, and they are on the journey of building a portfolio. And that's the key thing that they're really talking about, building the impact and making the difference in people's lives. So we have chosen to remain boutique in the sense that we don't want to grow too much too quick. We really want to go deep in the impact that we are able to make. So going with the boutique philosophy and making a deep impact, what we have done is that we have integrated a lot of other businesses that we can work more as a, one-stop consultancy.
Okay.
So of course, they are not really in-house. Nothing is in-house. We really want to go for independence all the way through, not just in terms of buying the property, but also in our relationships with our B2B. Because what we are really doing is we understanding what the family is looking for. Sometimes there's a lot of, education around it, because lots of people forget their desires. And so what we really instill is that A, it's possible, and B, you should want to do it, and C, it's just not really a fluffy stuff. Like there is something we can actually go and do it with our help or with on their own. They can choose to do it. Hence the focus on education and strategy. And of course, we are talking about busy professionals, and I can really go back to my own why. When I was in the corporate world, I was struggling to see the bank balance at the end of the day. After doing all the hard work, we tried almost everything. Share trading to currency trading to do some jobs here and there, as a part-timer. But then we realized that the whole thing is actually an education. And with that education, as we talked about last time, we have actually made few changes in my career altogether, from an architect to a master's in computer science as a data scientist, and then to money manager. So that was all good. I was trying so hard, try to figure it out things. But what we realized is that property is a great vehicle in this country to be able to make wealth, but not all properties are the same. And that's where the education mindset around it, the strategy thinking behind it really got us going to get started. We tried a few things, and then we focused on, let's learn how to do it. So the way I put myself in their shoes, because I know exactly, because I was there as a first generation immigrant. We had nothing in our pocket. We were in negative when we actually came here, as we talked about last time. So for us, it's about the will and the clarity of that vision, the belief, and the willingness to make it happen. And bringing all those elements in our conversation. And I'm still the person who, yes, we have grown in the business, but I'm still the point of contact for the individuals or the families that we're working with. So hence we have chosen to remain boutique, that we can go maybe small in size overall, but the deep in impact that we can make. So it's a nutshell. Happy to elaborate on any point, Ben.
No, thank you for giving us that overview. I'm just curious, how has your role, since you mentioned you've been in business 4 years for Get Rare, how has personally your role transformed since you started to where you are today?
No, great question. So just like for any small business, it always starts as a one-man person, like one-man show. We have to do almost everything from, I guess, as an element of marketing, sales, fulfillment, as in buying the right property, managing the team, or there's no team, I mean, it's managing yourself, and the admin side of things. So what I've chosen to do is, as we have grown, so Rupali is a full licensed BA as well, so as a buyer's agent, and we have grown the team. So what we have done is like we focus on the processes and systems with the same philosophy that what we're trying to do. Yes, we are buying our 400th property, but for us, what we really look at is that the person, it's probably their first property with all the money that they have and they don't have because they're borrowing money. So the intensity is the same as we were doing it for ourselves. So as a role, coming back to your question, it's more around how can we keep the same level of due diligence on each and every transaction, each and every relationship. And of course, we had to build some scale, and that's where the system and the processes came into play. And again, being multi-professional and multi-careers behind me, like as a systems person. So for me, it was more around, okay, can we develop a system? You know, when you start with a new business and you have nothing in your pocket, you really put your own time and skills. So that's where we started it, other than going and hiring consultants left, right, center and get things done, which probably would have been good if I had the vision at that point of time for my own business. For me, I really want to keep it very, very nimble, which allows me to move things very quickly as well if I have to, because I'm the one who actually designed everything behind it. So it took its own course, but the vision was there. It's all about education. The first year was more about getting the word out there, like written a book, as you know, the Property Wealth Blueprint. It has taken me to places, got me into some news channels, and allows me to go and speak on the public events as well about the property market. So my role is more around, and still going back to the same thing, it's education and the strategy that I still want to pursue. Like we are doing more weekly updates now to the audience. And so that's where my focus is. But at the same time, you can't really do all of these things together. So we have built a team. So now I'm more of a business leader as a leadership of the team, that we have the same mission. And just like in any business, it's more about finding the right people who can go with the same mission or maybe stronger, that we can come together and do the same thing with a lot more intensity and a lot more fun together, because now it's a team that you're working with.
I love it. And you're right, like with standard small business, you know, founders, they're kind of wearing every hat, and then, you know, the founder typically becomes the biggest bottleneck. And then you typically start to migrate into a position. Obviously, it seems like you're now in more of a leadership style of project management position where you're managing the team. I've got a question. You mentioned you've helped 300 families or 300 purchases. I'm sure you've got a lot of incredibly fantastic success stories of the journey you've taken some of your clients on. What's one example that stands out where you've purchased multiple times for a specific person or family? And I guess the case study I'm looking to maybe touch on is maybe someone who came to you and didn't think that scaling out a portfolio was possible, you know, that limited mindset, and then fast forward today, they've got a lot more property sitting in their portfolio than they thought they would have. Have you got an example that you could share?
Look, I would say 90% of our examples are like that, actually. When I say 300 families, I'm actually really talking about where we have actually made impact. I mean, buying a property is easy or straightforward for anyone. Even the client or the family can do it on their own. What we're really bringing on the table is the know-how, the vision, the belief, and more important, the willingness, the mindset around it, why they should be doing it. So multiple examples, actually, as a matter of fact, a few of them have been so grateful for the impact that we have created that they actually gone public on news media. So as an example, there's some examples which I can publicly quote because their data was all scrutinized by news.com.au. So they were interviewed, as an example. Rafael and Kate, a very young couple. They were like a Chinese and Swiss couple, and Rafael wanted to run his own consultancy. So he has a deep desire that he wanted to be free so that he can pursue his passion. But then the mindset was that debt is bad. They should just pay off the debt of their property that they have, and then they were like stuck with their own thinking that how do we go about doing it. And we got to know through some networking event, and we caught up for one time and shared the success stories of other people or my own story as well, because this is where the confidence comes in as well, because I know this works. I mean, I made wealth, majority of it coming from my own property portfolio. So I could show them the mindset and the thinking and the learnings, and they were like, okay, let's do it. So what we did was we bought one property with the intent of only, it's more of a vision to have as an example, build a portfolio. As an analogy, I used to talk about a tower of wealth. So they are really talking about a tower of wealth of say 6 properties or 6 floors. But the key thing is we can't really just go and put one for today and forget about the forward or the future floors later on. For us, it's more about, can we have the blueprint first? Can we lay down the right foundation first? And they understood all the concept that how we should be thinking about the cash flow and the capital growth and the dilemma around it, and buying the property for future growth, and looking at the fundamentals, the macro part of it, the micro part of it, the risk management side of things. When they got all of that, they were very clear in their mind, they want to build a portfolio of 7 properties. So even before we did anything, it was clear to them. And then they were like, okay, let's go and execute it. And of course, we have to go with the experience as well. So we bought one property for them in a regional area. We bought it well. We got it some discount, decent discount, just about 8% or 9% then. It was in a growth zone, so we had a very good growth. We could see from the comparable sales within a few months. And they were very, very comfortable, and this is what we're really doing. We are hand-holding them for the purchase. They never visit the property, they never even went to the city, but they were comfortable because we're hand-holding them, putting them all the right people around them for them to get professionally help as well, whether it's a solicitor or a property manager or building and pest inspector and the likes, to make it very easy and rewarding for them. And while they understood the whole concept of building the portfolio, they realized that, okay, now it's really the first stage, which we talk about in our book as well, the property wealth blueprint, is that the first stage is about building the portfolio. So how quickly we can build the portfolio and let it grow as a second stage. They realized that, okay, let's go and do it very quickly. The only thing was that they were expecting their first child in about 7 months' time. So they had a very small window of about 4 or 5 months that they realized that, okay, if at all they have to do something, its time is now. So with their resources and the equity, we actually bought them 2 other properties within the next 3-4 months. So
wow.
In summary, they actually ended up with 3 properties, which we bought for them in 7 months, and they had no clue before that. If I go back to a discussion before, they were like, no, it's not for them, and it doesn't work for everyone. It's, in their words, it's a scam. It doesn't work. We just want to pay off the debt. Not just that, they actually were able to build this portfolio. Building part is okay, but the equity that they actually created over the next 2 years since then is in the tune of $300,000.
Wow.
The money that they put in from there, almost neutral cash flow portfolio, even at this point of time, because the market has gone up, the equity they have created. So we came up with the philosophy and everything. So they could really see what's really happening. They realized that it's all about lifestyle. And full credit to Rafael. He has started his consultancy already because he has the clarity of what's really happening. And so we are friends since then. We visit them. They have moved state as well, so now they have moved to Brisbane for the better lifestyle and whatnot. So this is just an example, and I'm quoting this because it's very much public. If anyone can go and search their name, they will be able to find the article in news.au. And there are few examples like that. People have bought 4 or 5 properties within a year or so. Because we are not really saying, somebody might say that, okay, there's 5 properties, it's a small price, there's a small entry point. To that point, I really take it that it's not the number of properties, it's the size of the portfolio. But my argument is not even about the size of the portfolio. The point is about the risk metrics around it, as well as the equity that we are able to get out of it. So this is just an example. For someone like Linda, she got about $700K equity. by buying 3 properties. And now they're in the phase 2 of building it again, getting the equity out and doing it again.
That earlier case study, there was 2 things that stood out: 3 properties in 7 months, and then it was the 300K in manufactured equity, right?
300K, yes. And
300K.
Rafael and Kate.
Yeah, Rafael. Yeah, and Kate. Yeah, I mean, that's phenomenal, right? And I mean, you mentioned at the very beginning, you said the word impact around what you seems like you're very mission driven to do and what you're passionate about. Is that your, like, if I was to say, hey, when you say the word impact, like, is that what you mean around getting that equity for your clients, getting them to be purchasing multiple properties? Is that what you mean by impact?
No, for me, the impact is more about, I'll probably talk about a scenario whereby, and probably not for anyone else, but for myself. I was in the corporate world and I was so much stressed about my own future because I was doing the financial money as a corporate, and I could see that what a high net worth individuals are doing. And sometimes more about the freedom, about the belief that they can choose to do what they want to do. And to me, that's the impact of choosing to do what you want to do. And typically it's more about either for yourself or your family, or something that you really want to believe in, like you believe in, for example, you're pursuing a hobby, or leaving a legacy behind, or even just believing in a cause to be able to do something. So now we can do, like, I really want to do a lot of stuff earlier, but then I realized that if I can't take care of myself first, my own financial well-being, I can't really go and start donating in the charities that I really believe in. So that kind of a mental block, that I have to be enough myself first to be able to pursue things around me that I really wanted to do. And it's also about the relationships around it as well. Like, if I'm stressed about something, about my future, about my retirement and whatnot, the problem is that, when, with due respect, is that lots of people do not really worry too much about the future. I mean, they take it for granted. For them, generally speaking, ignorance is bliss. If everything is going smooth, to them it's smooth. But the statistics says 56% of Australians do not have enough money to retire even at the age of 65. So that's more than half of the Australian population can't retire at the age of 65. And it really feels like, I feel sad when I see an oldie pushing a trolley of goodies just to make some money out there. So for me, the impact is more around feeling that fulfillment, that you can choose to do what you want to do rather than what you are required to do. So impact, for example, if I talk about Rafael and Kate, it's more empowering, if I can say that. It's empowerment that they know their future is secure because the passive investing or the property investing is actually working for them in the long run. So the vision is to be able to build wealth in the long run. It's not about the number of properties, it's not about the portfolio size. It's about how we can build that wealth in a systematic, robust, risk-aware way, that even if the interest rates are rising, I'm not really, or if there's a bad tenant among my portfolio, I'm not too worried about it. And that's where the business approach comes into play. So to me, when I'm talking to someone, I really convey this point that this is their business of investing. My business is to help you run that business. So I'm just coming as a guide in their journey, because I know it's so hard out there when we are living so much, I guess, paycheck to paycheck with a very minimal money left over, and there's a big price that we see, the price tag around the house that we want to live in. And all of a sudden we start feeling frustrated at how things are happening. So to me, property is a very great vehicle, just because the leverage involved, and that too for a growth asset. We can talk about the reasons why this is great, but the impact for me is about empowering them. And as an example, for Rafael and Kate, they are into that business already. What they thought they'll do it after 10 years, they're already in their third year of starting the journey with us, because it's the clarity that makes a difference. It's like a GPS. When I know I can get there in time, I'm not too worried about my journey. I know I'll get there. It's a matter of time. When I'm traveling without a GPS and I think I need to go somewhere, that's where I'm just trying few things and not really getting anywhere, if that makes sense.
You mentioned paycheck to paycheck with the way some people, or I'm assuming a large majority, live like that. What are different to the clients that come to you, who obviously, I'm assuming they've got some form of cash in bank, they're paying for your service, they're paying for a deposit, especially if they don't own property and they're not utilising equity. What are those people doing differently, do you feel like, that are not living paycheck to paycheck, from your perspective, from what you see?
So if I understand your question correctly, is the question that if they're already paid to paycheck to paycheck, how they can afford the fees and what they're doing differently? Is that the question?
Yeah. So for the people who aren't living paycheck to paycheck, they have cash in bank. Like, for example, like they're able to pay for your service, the people that aren't living the paycheck to paycheck. And like, what do you feel like those people are doing differently to the people who are living? Is it better money management skill? Like, what are they doing differently, do you think?
Yeah, so paycheck to paycheck was more of a general terminology saying that of course they're saving some money on a monthly basis, but that's not enough for them to go and have enough quantum of funds or wealth that they can retire comfortably at the time that they want, or even sleep on it further forward. So to me, when I say paycheck to paycheck, it's yes, we are making money, but the stress around it, because we are trading time for money when we are going to that corporate world, that if I go to work for this month or for this year, I'll get paid for this month, for this year. So effectively, I'm dependent on my ability to work, and because of the health issues and the industry issues and the economic issues, we can't really take it for granted. Like it was last time that when you start as a graduate in some company and then you retire with the company, probably that's a thing of the past. Now people want to jump around, and there's easy for the company to say, no, we're downsizing, letting it go. Maybe there's a stability for the person to be there, but the fact that there could always be any restructuring the job really makes them keep them on the toes to be super worried, because they have not secured their future just yet. So we are more in a systematic way of going to school to get educated, to look for a job, go for the job, then we start the family. So yes, we grow in our corporate world, we start earning more, but the expenses will also catch up at the same time.
Got it.
So when I say paycheck to paycheck, that's the meaning was that they are not saving enough to be able to feel sure or secure about their future.
Got
so
it.
So coming back to that question, that how they are thinking differently, they have realized that they're professionals in what they are doing, they're experts in that area. That's why they're getting paid for the skill that they're bringing on the table.
Got it.
As a professional, they can appreciate the power of a professional like us to find the right property, because finding a property is a very spacious role. Because selling agent, we are going against the sales agents who are a paid professional to sell the property at the maximum price possible. When you go as an emotional buyer, either you give it up, you can't really go and travel around in different cities, different regions, leave alone comparing those properties and finding the right research property and at the right reasonable price. So it's about the mindset when it comes to professionalism. It really comes down to the end goal. Like how many people want to reach to their destination and are happy to pay for the GPS and for a guide who can guide you all the through.
Someone asked me a question yesterday. It was in Byron, a buyer's agent. He came and asked me, and we're having a conversation, and a question he asked was, in 5 to 10 years, do I believe that most people in Australia, because obviously a very small minority do now, but will most people use a buyer's agent? What's your response to that?
So response to the question that why people are using less of a buyer's agent here in this?
No, so the question was, in 5 to 10 years, do I think that most people in Australia will use a buyer's agent? Obviously, because a very small minority use buyer's agents now.
Yes.
I know you and we're in the buyer's agent sector, so we live in a bit of a bubble, but the majority of people waking up in the morning looking to buy are not thinking to use a buyer's agent. So the question was, do I see, let's say in 10 years' time, it's going to be very prevalent that the large majority of people in Australia engage a buyer's agent for helping them secure? What's your viewpoint on that?
I totally agree. We are already seeing the trend happening for last, say, 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Buyer's agency is not really new. I met someone running the buyer's agency for the last 22 years, helping people buy the property. It's more, I think, until now, it has been more limited for the people buying luxury end of the market, like buying multi-million-dollar properties on the beach side. They were using buyer's agent to an extent, but for a common man, where they're really talking about buying the right property and then there's a fees element to it, I think that's where the education and the mindset comes into play. More awareness, and thanks to the society and the industry where it is going, because when it's a rising tide, anyone can buy any property, it's going up. But when you don't have the strategy or the rightness of buying the property, otherwise that's when you realize that we are not really aware of the whole thing. But now with the industry is propagating the fact that, let me ask this way. So the reasons, like we know, majority of the people, when they sell the property, they use a sales agent. We know that, it's a fact, right? I mean, I think I read somewhere that's 95% plus people who want to sell the property would be using a selling agent. Now, the reason why they're using a selling agent to sell the property is exactly the same reason a buyer should be using a buyer's agent to buy the property. I think Australia is a unique country in a way that buyers as a community is not really fully supported by the professionals as compared to if we look at in the US or in India, even in Europe, where the brokerage, because the challenge is that, in a country like Australia, the challenge is that people are worried about, oh yes, I'm paying for the deposit, I'm paying for the stamp duty, I'm paying for the legal services, and then on top of it, how can I pay a fees for the professional? Because it's an optionality out there, people, it's really hard for people to grasp that's an important element of the fee that one should be thinking about. But if you go overseas, like in India or the US, it's inbuilt in the process. As an example, in the US, if seller is selling the property, the broker will charge 5%, and that is being shared between the selling agent and the buyer's agent. Because in the system, that out of 100%, the seller will only get 95% out of it. Because it's not really an option given to them, it's intrinsic in the system, in the processes, that's what is happening, and there's a very good sense out of it, like why it should be happening like that. But because in this country it's very optional, one has to really be educated or have that kind of mindset to engage a buyer's agent. That's where I guess it comes down to the education side of things, the awareness out of this. But we are really seeing a trend that lots of average person is actually using the professional services to buy the property, and there are multiple reasons why they should be doing it, and they are really being able to appreciate it, and they can see the difference. And just like in our business, a very word of mouth business. So people that we have helped 4 years ago, they have referred other people. When we work with them, they refer other people, and that's where I guess they can see the challenge getting solved with some authoritative introductions, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. What excites you as we start to wrap up this conversation, and as we move into 2024? What excites you about 2024 with what you're doing with your business and what you've got, I guess, just in the timetable?
Great question. So my excitement that was started in 2020 when we started this work or 2019 to where we are, still the same. It's just a different level of scale and deeper level of impact we are able to make, because over the period of time, we have built our name, the brand is there, and our focus or energy is actually building relationships with the sales agent. The off-market listing that we are able to get, yes, we have been hearing the supply side has been on the lower end, which is the case, but by the virtue of us building the relationship with the sales agents, we are still very independent. We work in the sense that we collaborate, or appreciate that they're representing the seller, we are representing the buyer. But the fact that there is always just a seller out there, and then we get the first know-how of that property. So for us, it's about that scale that we have built in terms of the reputation and the branding, that we are able to reach out to more people. We have built the system and the scale that we can go out more. But of course, we are very mindful that that I still remain the point of contact for the people that I'm working with, that I'm supported by my team. So the team support is there for me to go out, reach out to more people, make an impact, whether they work with us or not, doesn't matter, but they can appreciate the power of investing for themselves for the future and doing it rightly, using some professionals around it. To me, I'm on the mission to educate them that it's about their story, it's about them, it's about their business that they should be thinking about and executing on it. Because lots of people are out there who believes in the same thing, but they do not have the strategy or the plan behind it. Hence the reason of the book is out there, which is very much publicly available for anyone to download or rather order as a physical copy. So we really are on the mission to educate them, and that's really excites us. Like the family that is coming to work with us, or we are working with them, we really want to make that deep impact for each and every one of them. it comes with a sense of responsibility. So that's why we choose to remain as more as a boutique, that we can go deeper with the impact rather than building the scale around it to the extent that we forget about the impact.
I love it. Rasti, enjoyed the conversation. Congratulations and well done, and good luck with those awards, the BX and the REB awards. I'll be watching closely, and wishing you all the best for 24. And I really enjoyed our conversation, so thank you.
Now, thanks to you. Thanks for bringing all the awareness around supporting all the buyers, agents, and bring that know-how when you're, and the institute is doing amazing. And thanks to you and to the whole community. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rasti. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.